So with Isleweaver on the way out and all the discussions surrounding it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, things we can improve on, damage attenuation, so on and so forth, I want to kind of take a crack at it and, but vibe with you guys, see how you guys feel. I want to take a new, more positive perspective on the whole thing though, like solution focused. This video is going to be a lot less edited, a lot less scripted, and a lot more passionate and rambly. I'm not here to make the case to you that damage attenuation is bad. You know that well and good, right? You've already watched the YouTubers. If you're watching me, you probably already watched the bigger ones, and you just want a different perspective, so that's fine. I know a lot of my audience are new players, so I will touch on it like briefly, but nothing too crazy. And yeah, the title is true. I believe that raids are possible in Warframe. I believe it. I don't think DE is as far of it as maybe they think, or we think as a community. A lot of us veterans are very jaded. Raids were removed, Lord knows how long ago. I was still in middle school or whatever. Still playing this game. And I'm trying to tell you that it's possible. So I'm going to touch on Isleweaver, damage attenuation, mechanics, and then like my case for raids in Warframe. And I'm going to be an advocate for it probably for my entire career. I'm going to be an advocate for it. So I'll be using clips from a Nightmare Frame video where he's reacting to a Tactical Potato video. This isn't a react video per se. I have already clipped what I wanted to react to, or what I wanted to like reply to. And I've pre-watched it 2-3 times, so I guess it's a little bit lazy of a react video from me. I apologize for that. If you guys don't like that content, please let me know in the comments. But I'm trying to not make it like a sloppy react video. I've clipped what I want, and I have my retorts in like a semi-script or whatever. I've linked the videos below, both of them, and I'm just choosing this one, even though I have mixed opinions on Nightmare Frame. He has good things to support my claims, and a couple things to bounce off of. A couple things I disagree with as well, but really good points, and I like the way he talks. He clearly has a lot of experience and a lot of passion for this stuff, so let's get started. So starting with Isleweaver, I thought it was actually like pretty fine. A lot of people really had negative opinions, and that depends on like your biases going into it. For me personally, Circuit and like Devere experience and stuff, the like roguelite Warframe stuff is some of my favorite content they've ever released. So the randomized loadouts in that content specifically, I do not like in EDA or ETA. I have rework ideas I want to make another video on. Randomized loadout in that content sucks, but with like easier, more chill like Circuit content, I really enjoy it. So with Isleweaver, I enjoyed that a lot. I don't always like the pressure of having to put a build together. Sometimes I just want to grab some stuff. I'm an experienced enough player to have good builds on a ton of stuff, so my options feel fine. Other disclaimer, in terms of my biases, I did not play Steel Path. I played like 3 to 4 Steel Path versions, and I hated it because again, damage attenuation, the second topic of this video, makes it take, not in this case, not way longer from my experience, but still longer. And every second I spend fighting that timer of a boss, in this case 2 bosses, I get incredibly frustrated. It's just not worth it for me. Likewise, it lowers the burden of RNG. It makes those two scale into each other, right? So the RNG can be frustrating for people because if they're doing the Steel Path version, they straight up can't kill the boss in a reasonable time. But likewise for me, I hate the Steel Path, and it makes me enjoy the random stuff. It makes it more quirky and fun. But if you're trying to play Steel Path, you're gonna hate the randomized more. They kind of multiplicatively like they make everything worse, basically is what I'm trying to say. So I watched a video by another YouTuber, and that was basically the claim he made, and I totally understand that perspective. That was not my personal experience. I was able to play with some of my new friends. We spam ran it. It was actually really fun. However, the big problem with Isleweaver was the rewards shop, and like the whole community thing, having to spend the tokens, not enough evergreen rewards. Admittedly, the rewards themselves, in terms of quality, were not bad. There needed to be more quantity, more to spend stuff on. I was able to being able to acquire those arcanes that fast. God, when I was a new player, I'd kill for that. That was awesome. And for me, I still bought them. I was able to pawn them off to my new player friends or sold them for plat. I didn't farm as much as I could have. I didn't really get energizes, but I bought from some of the low tier ones. I sold a bunch of sets of them for like 250 plat. That was great. I made really great plat from that event. So overall, I enjoyed Isleweaver, and like with context in mind, like TennoCon soon. They got a bunch of stuff going on for that. Isleweaver was fine, and Araxia is a great Warframe, incredibly fun to play. So like overall, I don't feel any strong ways about Isleweaver. And if the next event is exactly like this with a slightly improved shop, that's going to be enough for me, like straight up. But that brings us into like my actual passionate frustration moment, damage attenuation, and the failures of Digital Extremes in regards to like creating cool mechanics and how we can move forward with that ideally. So let's get started with that.
Become so powerful in game that bosses were melted before their intro animations even ended. Attenuation was DE's attempt.
Yeah, the thing is, you should reward players for actually coming up with a solid loadout to burst through your boss. Have a look at Borderlands.
So yeah, for my new players here who aren't familiar with what damage attenuation is and why it's so destructive, basically damage attenuation makes it grabs your damage, so like you're dealing damage to a unit, right? And it just, no matter how high that value is, it keeps cutting it down and down and down, in this case with DE, over a matter of seconds. Damage attenuation in combination with other mechanics is not awful, or if it's a lower amount, again, not totally awful, but DE has added it in as like a solution to everything, to making everything difficult, and it's just not encouraging at all. And if you can't, and you still, it's okay, but maybe I didn't do a good enough job like explaining. That means that no matter how much time you've spent putting into a build to do optimal damage, it won't matter. And with Warframe, a game where like Warframe is not a mechanically difficult game to play. You can, quite frankly, it's as easy as you make it. You could play Revenant Torrid for the rest of your life, and like that's it. You know, you'll never have to like use more than one hand to play the game. But in the case of like Attenuation, it strips all of that. So now you have nothing. Now you're just pointing and clicking, and it's genuinely a soul-sucking experience. I'm very emotionally attached to like this whole topic because I love mechanics. I love being challenged. I love movement. Like DE created the bullet jump, dude. Digital Extremes created the bullet jump, man. Like, I know we can do more than this. I know we can do more than damage attenuation. And so yeah, basically like the TLDR is that damage attenuation makes it so that your gear, all that Warframe is a gear sim. That's all it is removed, and you're sitting there with no mechanics, holding M1, bored out of your brains, and it's absolutely awful. You should be rewarded for building properly. And against all other units that are like non-boss units with no attenuation, you are absolutely rewarded. That's why all these like red quick clickbait whatever exists, because it's fun to nuke entire rooms. But with bosses, which are like a central part of a lot of people's gaming experiences, this is just non-existent. And that's why I think DE needs to improve in that regard. And again, we're going to go over like what I think they can do. So let's continue the discussion.
Fights in Warframe, you know, granted the more popular ones, right? Have you noticed how all of them have a nullifying or magnetic effect? Did you notice that? Did you guys notice that? Let's start with the low-level one. The reworked boss fights. The one in Venus. Nullifies your abilities. We go to Plains of Eidolon. Magnetic. We go to Prophet Taker. Magnetic. We go to... What's that? No. The Mesa bitch. Where we farm Mesa. What was it? Magnetic. Just to get rid of your energy. The 60 Eyes boss. It dispels your abilities. You have the Oraxia fight. Nullifies you, dispels your abilities. The recent Vor fight. Nullifies you, dispels your abilities. It's just not creative. At all. Come on, let's have like mechanics, alright? Let's have good mechanics. Can we, you know, at least try? Please? Is that hard to ask? I get it, we're too powerful, so you want to take away the power for, you know, a brief moment, but no. The Apex tank, it's so garbage I forgot it existed. But yes, same thing.
So yeah, in this part he's talking about how like the few mechanics that we do have just involve taking our abilities away. So like, okay, we have attenuation, which effectively, mathematically, takes our damage away, and then we have nullifying attacks to take our abilities away. Like, what are we doing? With the drastic difference in when you queue up to play Warframe and you go to play like survival content and you just nuke everything and having like the blast of your life, looking at all the numbers everywhere, it's beautiful, and then you go to a boss fight and you forget what game you're playing. Like, it's such a, in my opinion, again, I'm a DE glazer, I'm a huge fan of Warframe, I love this game to death, but it is such like a bastardization of what Warframe is and what's fun about it. It genuinely feels like you are playing a different video game. It's awful. I don't think that, again, he is correct in the regard that like we should be more creative with our mechanics. I do think nullifying stuff is fine. The problem is that a lot of the nullifying things are undodgeable. You just have to eat them or deal with them or run nullifier or whatever. Yeah, it's called Arcane Nullifier, yeah. So, like, that's the huge problem. I think that it would be cool if we had stuff to dodge that would take our abilities away. That's a great punishment to not dodging something, right? That would make us have to flawlessly dodge things. But half of the things, it doesn't matter. And then also, dodging doesn't achieve anything because we're still doing damage attenuation, right? So it really doesn't mean anything. I just have to dodge. Like, it's absolutely boring. And again, I think nullifying effects, like, are gonna have to be very prevalent because of the design of some Warframes. Revenant in particular, like Trinity, these frames that like are nearly immortal. I do think nullifying is gonna have to be like a huge component if we're dealing with like an actual engaging boss fight. But like there's mechanics like movement and puzzles and all sorts of stuff that don't involve like dealing damage. So again, nullifying, if I were to do like a raid rework, would have to be a part of a lot of what's going on, but it would be in a way that you could counter it. And like if you wanted to optimize your DPS, you would have to dodge things. You would have to dodge like nullifying beams or like squares or circles popping up on the ground that you have to like dodge and move around. But like in this case, in where Warframe currently has, again, it has some of that. It has some of the dodging stuff, but none of it matters because your DPS barely goes up or down when you dodge because of attenuation, right? That's kind of my big problem. I'd rather be able to move flawlessly and one-shot the boss in the head. Like that is genuinely how I feel. But okay, let's keep going.
You play Destiny. How many bosses do you stand on a plate and shoot the head? Or stand in one spot. Guys, are you ready? Hey, what? Put the damn well down. I got it. Hunter, tether the bitch. I got it.
Okay, this is actually like one of my favorite points. This is one of my favorite points by far. So like the main concern, the main pessimism, and if you get nothing from this video, at least get this. The main pessimism towards raids is that we have too much damage as players. And later I think the next clip actually, Nightmare Frame will make the point that we need to scale down damage. I'm like, it is very difficult. He acknowledges that, and I don't really disagree with him. If we could, that would be nice. But we forget that the damage stuff is like insanely fun outside of boss content. I do not personally want Warframe's damage nerfed. I love DE's approach of buffing everything to the same high level. Everything's OP, it's awesome, it's fun. It means you get to play anything that you want. That is awesome. That is really good. The only problem is, and like this is what I think he points to, is that, like, yeah, you're right. We can't deal with health bars. The challenge of a boss fight, anything past mid to late game, cannot be a health bar. But that's okay, because DE has created a ton of cool mechanics that could be converted into a way to beat a boss. Health bars just aren't going to be the way that we do it. We have to do mechanics, whether it's puzzles, weak shot, like weak point stuff, movement stuff. All that stuff is how we're going to win. And like the key is, again, if there's nothing else you get from this video, get this at least. Even the DPS phases in games like Destiny, and I haven't played WoW. I have like 200 hours in Destiny. I have never played WoW in my life. So maybe I'm lacking some experience that I'm sure like other players have. Even the DPS phases in that content sucks, right? Even for the most part. At least like in Destiny, from my experience, even the DPS phase, the health bar related stuff sucks. It's everything you do to get to that point, whether it's preparation through your loadout or like doing puzzles or like interacting with mechanics. That's what's actually fun. Most of Destiny is, from my experience, is sitting on a platform and shooting. So like it's not actually a bad thing. It's not actually, there's way bigger roadblocks than damage scaling, because in this case that part is already boring. That challenge already sucks in games where it's done well. So with Warframe, when the damage is insanely inflated, that really doesn't matter, because that's not the biggest problem. We have to incorporate good mechanics. The DPS stuff already sucks dick. You're already sitting on a platform, it's already boring. So in this case, what my proposition is it doesn't matter that our damage is super high. Well, okay, matters a little bit, but not as much as many Warframe players let on, because a challenge that is just a health bar is lame anyway. Even in games where it's done well. Let's move on.
They have a set scaling, so that it doesn't have like Warframe scaling level 9,999, that type of shit. Then your damage, like specific setups scale with enemy level, or you have exponential scaling with damage over time, or specific builds, right? You can just burst through their health, burst through their shields, armor strip. It has Warframe, I would say, has very interesting damage mechanics, but the way they're implemented in a way with enemy scaling just like fucking sucks, right? I would say either have a limit to how much you can go with damage, and how much and mechanics that allow you to bypass that limit in a way that's not too broken but also reasonable. For example, usually if you're hitting something, let's say 100% crit chance, I feel like crit chance should have a cap. Hate me all you want. Red crits are nothing special. Crit chance should have a cap scaling, but then you can have crit damage, which will allow you to multiply your damage even further. There are so many games that cap out the crit chance at 100%, because if you're critting 100% of the time, then you're just doing damage. Then all you have to do is add other multipliers, like your base damage, your status, your...
So again, Nightmare Frame is absolutely like correct here. Like Warframe's damage scaling is way out of control, and I would like, again, one of my favorite parts about the Cavia, is that the units in the Cavia, like the like Albert's lab and stuff, they have like weak points. Like the weak points are like a huge emphasis to those units. Like even if you have like a garbage weapons, oh god, those got one guys, like they're what are they? The oh man, they're like the big circles that walk around with arms, and they're kind of cool looking. If you shoot off their little cylinders on their arms, like they fall over and die. Your weapon can be kind of awful, and like you'll still get actually like pretty good outcomes that way. So yeah, I agree with him in that regard. Like it's very beneficial to have mechanics like that, where the enemy is like can be kind of tanky, except you get to engage with something like separate. I think that and again, Warframe's endgame content is kind of sucky for that reason, because we do 1 zillion damage, and all of it's gonna have to be done through mechanics. But I think people forget, a lot veterans are kind of like disillusioned with like damage cap and red crits, whatever. For a lot of players, I'm gonna guess the majority, I could be wrong, I have no stats to support this, for me included, someone with 3,700 hours or whatever, making new exciting builds that do a lot of damage is still exciting to me, because I know how to do it. It's fun, it's exciting to do. So yeah, my case I'm trying to make here is, yeah, with bosses, with certain pieces of endgame content, the damage scaling of Warframe is awful. It's not very good. It's not conducive to that environment. But what it is conducive is to nuking the absolute dog shit out of rooms, which is like incredibly fun. So I think that we should take that more into consideration, and that's why I think we should, instead of pivoting to like a nerfing approach, which again, even if DE does an absolutely perfect job reworking damage to bring it down, I am convinced they will still lose players because they won't be used to it, and maybe they'll like gain players in some other ways, and I'm sure they'll keep the majority of their player base. But even if they do it perfectly, there is something about the power fantasy of Warframe that is completely unique, and I have not witnessed in any other game. So again, while lowering the damage scaling is is a good idea, and it could work for sure, the risk reward is insane, and the reason for that is because the work it would take would be so disgustingly immense for basically no guarantee. There's no guarantee it works. Meanwhile, adding like interesting mechanics that can be tweaked in an additive approach, in my opinion, in life in general, in games too, an additive approach is almost always better than a subtractive approach, almost, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here.
Challenge through design, Warframe kind of scales down your power, which definitely creates a disconnect within the community. You don't feel smarter or better for overcoming the fight. It just feels like it was drawn out.
That's the thing. Thank you. That's the one thing that I love. This is why Souls games have ruined gaming for me. I've gotten to the point where I play Souls games to relax. I'm cooked at this point. It's all about you overcoming the challenge with the tools you have and your skill. Get good or mull the trying. That's it. Yeah. My first thing, let's talk about.
Yeah, so like the TLDR of this is basically like an investment versus reward type deal. So like for me, for Warframe, the way it currently is this is my personal experience, though I think this is the experience of a lot of people. I put together a build. I've tested it in the simulacrum a couple times, tested it in some lower level content. Now I'm going into the content where I intend for it to like do its thing, the thing I've built it for, and it works, and I'm excited, and there's endless dopamine. But it was all basically to me, from my understanding, it is a knowledge check, and that's good. I like that, by the way. Don't get that twisted. Like, that's enjoyable to me, but there's no mechanics check. So when he talks about later he talks about like Souls-like games. That's what he's talking about here. Those are the most insane dopamine rush games of all time, because you put in the work over and over. You die over and over. You're eating shit every time, and you get incrementally better and better and better and better, and it's so exciting. That's like overcoming challenges. Dude, we're humans, like, at the end of the day, right? That's what's exciting to us. And in Warframe, when you're doing the boss fight, when you're doing the things that are supposed to be engaging and exciting in endgame, you don't get that at all. You get a timer, and it's the most soul-sucking thing. There's this expectation, like, I can't imagine being a new player, and, like, you're going to ETA for the first time, or EDA, and you go into the Fragmented one boss fight, and, like, it's Steel Path, and you're excited, he's level 400, oh, how scary. And then you're sitting there holding mouse 1, like, staring into space. You've got a stream on your second monitor or whatever. It's awful. It's one of the expectation versus reality is awful, because your expectations deservedly should be high for a boss fight that's climactic and exciting, but they're not. And the expectation versus reality there is what's really damning, and what I think is really hurting the game quite a lot.
If you're fighting a monster in Monster Hunter, you do realize, right? There is no health bar, but you can tell you're hurting the monster, right? You can see visible wounds on the monster. The monster starts drooling, panting. They lose a limb, Like, the mechanics change. So when you break off a tail of let's say, a monster, their mechanics change. You break off a horn, instead of them doing like a ramming attack, whatever, with their horns, they do a different attack. You cut off their wings, like you shred their wings. They can't fly anymore. That's such a good thing, but it requires them to do work. And unfortunately, I'm going to be, of course, labeled as a hater as always. DE likes to do band-aid fixes. Case in point with Excalibur Umbra and the Augment.
So here he's kind of discussing like mechanics that are exciting, like things that make gameplay exciting. Again, this is like he's proving to me what I think is very cool, is that, again, health bar based engagement is not always the best. Like, you can create challenges in so many other ways. Like, there are a variety of mechanics. Like the case of mine, I'm gonna make a mini video on this. I think the Fragmented one boss fight could actually be reworked in, like, again, I'm not a coder. I'm not trying to play armchair dev here, like, don't get it twisted. The Fragmented one boss fight, the initial one, this, like, the 30i, whatever, is actually, like, pretty easy to rework, right? He already has the mechanics built in, like, cool things. Like, what is currently just a damage attenuation sponge that does some cool attacks every once in a while and takes away your abilities and energy, like, could be changed to something cool. He could have attenuation, too, by the way. But he has this ability where he spawns these little, like, rectangles, and they're squares. They get the cubes. Hello? Oh, goodness. I got a C+ in geometry. My apologies. And he has these cubes, and they have eyes in them. And there's these little lasers, and they follow him, or they follow you around, kind of, and they lock on and go like that, and it's awesome. And the attack sound, the sound design on that is very cool, and visually it's very cool. And you can shoot the Fragmented one with his own eye laser attack. So imagine if we have a boss fight where the way I would do it personally, I've thought about this quite intensely. So Fragmented one currently has one health bar. Cut it into 3. Okay. Now you have health bar 1. It's damage attenuated, lame, corny, but he does that attack. If you land a certain amount, like X amount of laser eyes on him, he loses the attenuation and you blow his brains out. So now we've just gotten a mechanic we can learn, but we can still have like some challenge from attenuation. Like we have to engage with the mechanic. We are forced to. We cannot strong arm our way through. Otherwise, we're going to be holding M1 forever, right? We one-shot him with like our guns, right? And now we're on his second segment of health bar. Oh, now he has like scarier attacks. Like like in Risk of Rain 2, there's this boss. It's mod. I mean, okay, he has an unmodded version. His name is Mithrix, and he spawns rectangles and circles. They do damage, and in this case, they would take your abilities away. Whatever. Like have that be his phase 2, and then he still does the rectangle laser attack. He still, and then like you're dodging around. You still have to line him up with his own laser attack, but now you're dodging like little volcanoes in the ground that are popping up, or little rectangles in the ground that are popping up. And now you're on like the next phase, and another challenge presents itself, and you have to again. The damage attenuation goes away when you land the beams. You get to use your cool weapon and blow his brains out, but like you engage with the mechanic, it gets harder. There's a sense of like drama. It's exciting. Again, and I'm gonna make a video on that like separately because not everyone's gonna get this far in the video. I accept that reality, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like mechanics can be so exciting. And again, this is Digital Extremes. Digital Extremes came up with bullet jumping, and they did the high droid rework. That's the biggest glow up I've ever seen in my entire life. Like. This company is more than capable. I love these devs. They're so capable of making engaging, cool mechanics. I promise. I know it's a little bit difficult, but I think once they get the hang of it and build momentum, it'll be really easy. Okay, sorry, that was very long-winded. Let's continue.
Kinds of damage, but attenuation makes it feel
Go
like
play Elden Ring, go play Elden Ring.
against the boss fights, which are supposed to be the pinnacle of some of the events in the game. So we've
Coordination with teammates. Yeah, the problem with Warframe is that there's no team activity. That's long gone. Everything is done solo, and people want to do things solo. They want to feel special about themselves, so they always do things solo. And when you coordinate with someone, it's mostly going to be with your friends. Because if you try to coordinate with like randos, you have people who are entitled, who think they're like the best. Like, man, I don't want to do your setup. I'll do this thing, blah blah. And then they up to the run for everyone else. You said with Lost Ark, yeah. Apparently now there's like solo modes for everything because again.
Okay, so in this part, I think I'm a little bit cooked. This is the part of the argument that I wish I could make. It would require a lot more effort from DE to make like compelling team stuff. Like obviously you can do like content as a team, but it's not like Archon hunts, for example, or the raids, or the raids in quotation, like EDA, ECA. You do those as a team, but there's no team mechanics. The only mechanics, you're supporting each other. Like, you know, you play Dante, you play Trinity, you support each other in that way, but there's no actual team mechanics. That is up to DE, I think, whether they want to incorporate it a lot. I think that one of the most compelling things about raids is the social dynamic, and I know that brings problems. I understand. Warframe, however, has the biggest like full pool of positive, good people. Like this community is genuinely the most positive I've ever known in my entire life, the least toxic, and I think that we have enough good faith built up with each other to like have a fun time talking about raids, how to do them, like teaching. Also, if we were to incorporate a raid, I think making it a main story quest or a side quest, like Eidolons. That's where Eidolons failed, in my opinion. I was a very experienced player who was going on and off of Warframe when Eidolons came out. And for me, I struggled. I did not do my first Eidolon successfully on my own when I knew what was going on until like 5 years after. When I had like a full setup, I had everything ready. I just had to learn how to do it mechanically, and I had to do it alone so I didn't bother anyone. Like with raid, it should be like something you can learn within the game, and I think DE struggles with that immensely, and I think it would be the biggest hurdle that they would face in this regard. I think they can come up with great mechanics easily. Personally, I have full confidence in terms of communicating things to the player, and they've been getting better at it. Don't get me wrong, the new player experience is miles better than it used to be, but I think that if we're just going to delegate teaching the raid to the community, we will run into problems, and it will die in the same way that Eidolon hunts have. I think it's really, really important that we create like a good in-game way to learn them. Likewise, a huge thing that DE is robbing themselves of, and again, this is just my opinion. This is my opinion as a content creator, as someone who like understands, you know, market mechanics a little bit. Like Destiny 2 gets a lot of conversation around it because raids are like a very social thing. You know, I talk about, oh, me and my friends were playing this Warframe raid, and this crazy thing happened, and oh, we were so close, and oh, we played it so perfectly. Likewise, I think it'd be very cool, and this is like my somewhat competitive opinion. I think it'd be very cool if there were like timers, like if you had like learning to speed run content. Like maybe the raid itself isn't the most crazy difficult thing in the world. You know, it's not crazy, but like there's a timer, and now there's squads trying to speed run it as fast as they can and get on a leaderboard, and maybe incorporate some like minor rewards with that, purely cosmetic, right? Even no mechanical, like no Archon shards or whatever, but like a poster or something, and every month, you know, it's a it's a new like leaderboard, and you get the chance to earn yourself a poster. It's cool, like a Prex icon or like a sculpture or something for your ship or your back room. I think that would be incredibly cool. But in terms of team play, yeah, this is where I can't sell you on anything. I understand how people are, right? That in the face of that, I don't have like a whole lot of strong arguments besides what I've already said.
Of people who want to be carried. And what does that lead to? Right? It's going to lead to gatekeeping. And then people are going to bitch about gatekeeping. So you can never please everyone, right? Gatekeeping, it's essential, right? But if there is a player gatekeeping, then it's bad, right? But if there is in-game gatekeeping by the game itself, where you need a certain gear score to apply to enter this dungeon, whatever, sure. Then you also have to, I would say, like, they have to do a specific challenge, whatever, to be eligible to enter the dungeon raid. Because artificial gatekeeping through your kill proof and all that, it's going to hold a lot of people back, and they're not going to be able to learn unless they pay someone, of course, in-game, like that's how you sell raids and everything. You pay someone, so you watch, you look, whatever, and boom. Like in Guild Wars 2.
And so yeah, that's like the point I was kind of talking about here. God, Warframe is such a welcoming community. Like, we have so many people willing to teach. I just think that DE needs to kind of alley-oop us, right? to actually like slam dunk a raid experience. Like, I don't know. Personally, again, my experience, Eidolon hunts were mystical in the worst way possible. I wanted nothing more to engage with them, but like they were mystical in the way that like a dark, scary forest with like a couple of guys staring at you in the distance, like that's terrifying. I'm good, man. They have red eyes and shit. I'm good. I don't want to engage with that. It's mystical. It's cool, but I'm horrified. I have no one to hold my hand. So I think if DE doesn't have to turn again. I would like it if they did, but it's a lot of work. If they were to release a raid, make it like a story quest to unlock, right before New War or whatever. I don't know, whenever you decide to do that. Also, I don't think raids have to be an exclusively endgame thing, by the way, which is a huge part of my argument that many people do not consider. I think there can be like really easy raids with really kind of mid rewards relative to us veterans, right? Like getting an Orc Catalyst is like kind of whatever. Say you run the raid once every 2 weeks, like a bearer rotation, and every time you run it and you succeed, you get a catalyst or a reactor, whatever. I mean, it can be an easy, something that is difficult for like mid-game players, but like it's a walk in the park for late-game players, and the rewards would reflect that. But now new players get something to bite into. There's raids early. There's like a simple raid early, a raid that's more focused towards mid-game players, slightly more challenging, but nothing crazy. And then you get late-game raid, and it's a lot more exciting, and there's something to build up to, something to talk about. Like, it's just so exciting. But the gatekeeping thing he mentions is what I mentioned before, in that, like, yeah, DE and the community have to work together, which sounds horrifying, but I'm not talking about like League of Legends here, dog. I'm talking about Warframe, like the most positive community I've ever witnessed with my own eyes, and DE, who is very capable of working with the community. I believe in it. But I do think it's the hardest part that I can't really like I can't fully sell you on that. If you are like still doubting that part of my argument, then you're probably right. I still have more to think about in regards to that.
We finished the whole Drifter encounter, then when we got access to our Warframes again, and then we fought the final Archon. How underwhelming was that? How disappointing and underwhelming was that? I was just like, bro, what the f? We were struggling. We were actually doing our best trying to kill these Archons with our Drifter, and then once we got our Warframe, and when they were re-released as a weekly challenge, guess what the Archons had? Shit ton of damage attenuation. And what did people do? They found ways to bypass that damage attenuation with, multi-shot and all that type of shit. Because multi-shot used to bypass damage attenuation. Multiple pellets, they'll have their own instance of damage. If there is no mechanic to deal with, and it's just bullet sponges, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get bored of it. You're gonna feel like the game is disrespecting you as a player because you put in all this work and effort, you gotta build together, and then it's like, fuck your damage.
Yeah, and so this is like, this is kind of, again, this is the last clip of Nightmare Frame I'm playing. Yeah, the Archon hunt stuff was cool, and I kind of, again, depowering the player can be cool, and there's a place for it somewhere. But in Warframe, I think it misaligns with Warframe's identity quite heavily. It could be done well, it could be, but it needs to exist in tandem with the power fantasy. That's why I think a blanket nerfing of damage is a poor choice, personal opinion. And also I want to leave with this: if we're talking about short-term solutions, I don't think damage attenuation in its current state should exist. I would rather be able to one-shot bosses, because what's more, again, I don't know if it's some kind of like sick idea of difficulty, because it's just not difficulty. It's just not, it makes me want to quit the game. I would rather, and maybe if your opinion differs from mine, please let me know, because I feel very strongly about this. I would so much rather have a nice, awesome build, walk up to the fragmented one, put both 4 Kuba Heck barrels down his throat, pull the trigger, and leave. Then sit there for like, again, this is not hyperbole. I think there was a bug or something, or maybe they ramped up the damage. Anyway, 40 minutes of holding M1, moving around, doing nothing. Dude, like 40 minutes of shooting a damage attenuation enemy literally feels like hours. It makes you want to instantly, once you're done, you see your words, you don't even care. You just want to log off the game and go play something else. and I'm trying to make that not be the case with this video. So yeah, we'll get to the outro, and just thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it, and let's get to it. So yeah, like TLDR, just a couple of tips. Like, I don't think that nerfing damage is the correct approach. I think adding mechanics is the correct approach. Can we make some adjustments to damage? And also, please God, if you do that, adjust the way you communicate damage to the players. I'm so tired of like feeling like a very experienced, sophisticated, knowledgeable Warframe player, and then like Lord knows, like whoever makes a YouTube video, and it's like, yeah, by the way, if you shoot a sniper rifle at a female Grineer unit at like sunset on a Tuesday, you actually deal 3.7x times crit damage. Like, I can't stand that. It bothers me. It feels like damage is not communicated to the player very well at all. And again, it's getting better, but like, I don't know. God. Anyway, I think that raids are closer to Warframe and easier to do than a lot of veterans think. I am not here to play armchair dev and say, oh, DE, you can just do it. I mean, come on. Like, you guys are $1 million whatever. It's more of us. I think ever since raids got removed, every new piece of content, as exciting as it has been, there's been a void. There's been a void, and I think Warframe, the game, suffers for it. I think Warframe content creation suffers for it. I should say that was not nice. That was not nice. Anyway, like, there's no there's such a big vacuum in content, and again, this sounds kind of like silly, but there's no like, oh, funny moments. Like, funny things happen when you do raids. People make compilations of that shit. They have a fun time with their friends. Like, for me, the closest thing I have is I love cracking relics. I love survival, and I love alchemy. And Void. I'm trying to learn Void Cascade. If anyone knows how to play Void Cascade really well, like level cap stuff, please teach me. Raids are like a social aspect. That's why WoW has them, and why it's been as successful as it has been. That's why Destiny, despite, you know, the people who run that game are absolutely doing awful things, it's still popping, because raids are fun, they're social, they're engaging, they're challenging. Some of the best parts of being a human are in video game raid-like content, and I want to bring that to Warframe, and I think it's possible. Damage attenuation sucks. God, please get rid of it. I'd rather one-shot bosses. Isleweaver was fine. More of that. Just improvements to the shop, and I thought their actually a boss fight was actually pretty fine. DE can do it. I know they can, and I think that we as consumers, if that's something we want, should be a little bit more vocal about it, and not accept it, and not take it, you know, like on our knees. Like, we can do it. That sounded wrong. Shit. Anyway, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this one. This is like not my usual content. I want to make more content like this, but I don't really have a target audience yet. So if you guys like this, God, please let me know, because I love making this content. It stresses me out so much less. Drop a sub, like, and if you don't like the content, let me know that as well. I will make significantly less of it. Like, sub, dislike, whatever you want to do. Comment. This is a discussion, so like, commenting here is really important, because I want to know what you guys want to hear from me. But thank you guys so much. So much love for you guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.